The derelict ship was not supposed to be there. Darren's sensors picked it up drifting near the Kryneth Rift, where most sane pilots avoided travel. The rift was a region of gravitational anomalies and spatial fractures, a place that could stretch or shear ships apart if they wandered too close. But Darren had learned long ago that salvage worth something was never found in safe places. His vessel, the Iron Wind, coasted closer, cautious thrusters firing in short bursts. The wreck was ornate, unlike the utilitarian freighters he usually found. Its hull shimmered faintly with gold trim even though it was battered and torn, and a crest still gleamed faintly near the dorsal fin, a silver crown entwined with a phoenix. Royalty. Darren cursed softly. Royal ships meant trouble. They meant inquiries, patrols, and questions from authorities he preferred not to meet. But they also meant vaults of rare tech and treasures no ordinary salvager could resist. With a reluctant sigh, he docked. The interior was silent but not lifeless. Emergency power hummed faintly, illuminating hallways lined with shattered glass and scorched metal. It looked like the ship had been ambushed. Laser fire scars along the bulkheads, blast doors melted through. Whoever had attacked had not left survivors. Or so Darren thought. Then he heard it, a whisper. So faint he thought it might be the echo of his own boots. He froze, ears straining. Help! The voice was delicate, weak, almost more vibration than sound. Following it, Darren forced open a bulkhead into what appeared to be a royal chamber. And there, amidst the wreckage, lay a figure in a torn gown of crystalline fabric. A young woman, her skin pale, her breathing ragged. A crown lay shattered beside her. Darren swore again, louder this time. Princess. The middle a fragile flame. He knelt beside her, fingers brushing the pulse at her neck. Weak but present. Her body trembled faintly in the freezing cabin air. A wound glowed faintly along her side. Not blood, but some kind of shimmering corruption, threads of dark energy pulsing through her veins. She stirred at his touch, eyes fluttering open. They were luminous, a strange violet that seemed to look through him rather than at him. "You're not one of them," she whispered. "I'm nobody," Darren said quickly, uncomfortable under her gaze. "Just passing through. Looks like your ship wasn't so lucky. They came for me. The Shadow Concord." Her words faltered as pain racked her body. "They used poison from the rift. It eats at the soul." Darren had heard of such things, exotic weapons drawn from unstable anomalies. He'd never seen one up close. But he could tell from the way her skin shimmered and fractured that she wasn't lying. "Can you stand?" he asked. She shook her head faintly. "Too late, leave me. They will return." He almost did. Every instinct screamed at him to walk away, to let the stars claim her. Helping meant entanglement with politics, with powerful enemies. And yet, something in the way her hand reached weakly toward him froze him in place. She didn't want to die alone. Against his better judgment, Darren slid his arms beneath her. She was impossibly light, as if her body were half made of starlight. She gasped, shivering violently, and then slumped against his chest. He carried her back to the Iron Wind, sealing the airlocks behind him. Between life and death. The medbay was outdated, barely capable of handling plasma burns and broken bones. Whatever infected the princess was beyond its capacity. Darren laid her on the bed and activated the scanners. The results only deepened his unease. Her entire biofield was being unraveled by rift corruption, the energy feeding on her life force. There was no medicine for it. As he stood there, staring, her hand reached weakly for his again. Her voice was a rasp. "Don't let me fade." Darren clenched his jaw. He wasn't a healer. He wasn't a knight. He was just a man who knew how to fly and fight and survive. But there was something in her tone, a plea that demanded more than excuses. He sat beside her, gripping her hand. Her skin was cold, her breath shallow. Her eyelids fluttered closed. For a terrible moment, he thought he had failed her. But then, at his touch, she shivered. A faint warmth sparked between their hands, a glow that pulsed against the corruption. Her lips parted, and a fragile breath escaped her throat, steadier than before. Darren blinked in disbelief. His touch was doing something. He tightened his hold, focusing, willing her to endure. The glow grew brighter, threads of golden light weaving into the dark tendrils in her veins. Slowly, agonizingly, they began to recede. She gasped, eyes flying open once more, their violet depths blazing. "You can hold it back," she whispered. "Your aura, it fights the rift." "I don't even know what that means," Darren muttered. "It means," she said with faint strength, "that fate brought you here." Chase. The healing was not complete. Darren could suppress the corruption, but it always returned, pressing deeper each time she weakened. He needed to find a real cure, and quickly. But time was short. His sensors screamed with warnings. Ships were entering the rift's edge. The Shadow Concorde had returned. Darren powered the iron wind, engines roaring as he flung them into the currents of distorted space. The rift clawed at the ship, trying to tear it apart, but he knew how to thread the fractures. He had danced with chaos before. Still, the Concorde pursued, sleek warships cutting through anomalies with predatory precision. In the medbay, the Princess stirred fitfully. Darren kept running between the cockpit and her side, gripping her hand whenever the corruption surged, feeling it recoil at his touch. He was exhausted, stretched thin, but he refused to let go. Between shudders of pain, she whispered her name. Lyra, Princess of Solène. A royal heir whose people believed she carried the bloodline of starlight itself. "They fear me," she told him weakly. "Because within me lies the power to heal the rift. That is why they poison me. If I fade, so does that hope." Darren wanted to laugh at the absurdity. He wasn't a savior. He was just one man with a patched-up ship. And yet he couldn't deny the truth. When she was in his arms, her light burned brighter. The final stand. Cornered near the rift's heart, Darren knew he couldn't outrun them forever. The iron wind shook under weapons fire, shields buckling. He had one choice. Dive into the unstable core, where even the Concorde dared not follow. "Lyra," he said, kneeling by her side. "If this doesn't work, I'm sorry." Her fingers clutched his weakly. "I trust you." He didn't deserve that trust. But he carried it anyway, launching the ship straight into the rift's storm. Space warped violently, stars stretching into streaks of white fire. The corruption inside her writhed violently, feeding on the chaos. She cried out, her body convulsing. Darren held her tight. "Stay with me." And then, without understanding why, he pressed his forehead to hers. The glow erupted, golden light flooding the cabin, pouring from his hands into her body. The corruption screamed, dissolving into fragments of shadow. She arched against him, gasping as the rift itself seemed to recoil from the burst of energy. The iron wind was hurled free, spat out of the anomaly into calm space. When Darren opened his eyes, Lyra lay in his arms, breathing steady, color returned to her cheeks. Her eyes fluttered open, filled with luminous light. "You healed me," she whispered. "No," Darren said hoarsely. "You healed yourself."